allowing her to ask some questions.
Well, thank you, Mr. Gates, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here as well. I'm also proud to be a co-sponsor of the PRIME Act. Wyoming is one of the 29 states currently operating a state inspection program known as the Meat and Poultry Inspection Program, and under current law, as has been repeated here several times, the meat processed at the state inspected plants can only be sold intrastate. Now, as a product of my family ranch outside of Fort Laramie, Wyoming, and having dozens of family members who are in the livestock business, I can assure everyone here and the American public that every farmer and rancher and every meat processing facility has every incentive to protect our meat supply and ensure the safe handling of our food. One of the other reasons that we are here today is to rebut some of the misguided arguments pertaining to this bill, and arguments which are mainly coming from the large corporations and packers who have essentially a monopoly when it comes to meat pricing and packing. Mr. Trotter, if the PRIME Act became law, do you believe that farmers and ranchers would abandon the existing supply chains whereby they sell to the feedlots, which then serve the existing meat processors and packers, or would they continue to use the same process that they use now?
I think you'd see an expansion. You'd have a lot of the big feedlots have their purpose. These large industries do have their purpose, but what you have here is an opportunity for small businesses to expand. This would just be a result in net economic growth here. The large processors do have their place, but when it comes to local businesses, like within your own state, making sure that they have products, from the farm down the road that didn't need to be trucked 300 miles away to get processed at a USDA facility, there is a market for that. It's simply an expansion of everything else. You're not going to see the big four necessarily go away, but you are going to see competition around the edges, and you're going to see the biggest benefit for the smaller producers.
Well, so I think it's fair to say then that the PRIME Act merely gives farmers and ranchers more options when it comes to selling their cattle, and these increased options in turn provide increased benefits to the producers and stave off vertical integration, as well as allowing these producers to determine their own destiny rather than being at the mercy of the packers. We contacted some of the producers in the state of Wyoming and asked them to weigh in on some of the challenges that they have related to producing food, producing our beef and pork, chicken, et cetera. One of the things that I thought was interesting was a comment from one of my constituents who said that our industry is crippled by the endless regulations coming from the EPA, FDA, and USDA. We spend countless dollars and hours tracking, documenting, and proving things that we do as a regular part of our operation. We have to pay experts to file reports because the regulations are so complicated to follow. A few examples of our struggles include VFD rules, CAFO nutrient management regulations, cattle tagging rules, and animal feeding operations and registrations. The other challenges that they talked about is that there is the industry monopoly that has been discussed several times today. And then the other thing is the unwillingness of the packers to work with our cattle producers, our livestock producers, to actually address the price. We also have to be concerned about continued vertical integration. And these are all challenges that our small businesses, our farmers and ranchers, really the backbone of so many of our communities are facing with overregulation. I want to thank all of you for being here today, for sharing your stories, for discussing the importance of the PRIME Act, and for coming to Congress to find ways that we can fix the problems that your industries are suffering from. I can tell you that we're all committed to doing that. We're all committed to making sure that we're providing a safe food supply for the American citizens, the great people of this country. So again, thank you for everything, and I yield back.
The gentleman from Florida yields back, and I'll recognize Ms. Scanlon from Pennsylvania for her question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you for calling